Much like many years in the past, 2023's All-Star Weekend just kind of came and went for me. Outside of the three-point contest, I didn't watch any of the events. I didn't watch the All-Star game. I didn't watch the Rising Stars game. I didn't watch the dunk contest. And even leading up to the event, I wasn't even excited for it despite all the notable names they had on there. And I remember thinking after 2020 that the All-Star game was fixed and that there was no real issues with it up until 2021. So in 2020, the NBA completely changed the All-Star game format. Instead of a 12-minute quarter, 48-minute exhibition game, they added a target score at the end of the fourth quarter, and they would add up the scores of both teams from the first three quarters and determine the target score there. They also renamed the All-Star Game MVP after Kobe, and they added some incentives for charities, and the winners of each quarter got their charity a donation. And in 2020, we were fooled to think that this incentivized the players to actually push themselves harder in the All-Star Game, but in 2021, it was just the same problem over and over again. First off, the players didn't even want to play in the All-Star game to begin with, mainly due to like COVID reasons and stuff like that. And second off, I feel like the reason why the players made an effort in 2020 was because it was something new. And that All-Star weekend was kind of them honoring Kobe Bryant, so I feel like they wanted to put on a really good show just to honor Kobe one last time. But on the bright side, 2022 was kind of a bounce back year for All-Star Weekend, as the events weren't terrible and the All-Star game itself was somewhat competitive towards the end. But it still showed the glaring issues with every single event and the weekend itself. And this year exposed all of that. The dunk contest was okay, it wasn't nothing special. All the other miscellaneous events like the celebrity game, the skills challenge were all forgettable. I don't even know who won the skills challenge. I think it was Jordan Clarkson who won it. And the three-point contest was the best event of the entire weekend. Meanwhile, the All-Star game was boring as hell. And every year we keep on having these conversations about how to fix All-Star Weekend, what the NBA needs to do. But the thing that nobody's addressing is, what does the NBA even want out of All-Star Weekend? How do the players view All-Star Weekend? Do they view it as a time for them to really prove that they're one of the best players in the league? Or is it a time for them to just relax due to the 82 game season? And in the grand scheme of things, players trying in the All-Star game is a symptom of the real problem, which is load management, fatigue, a long 82 game season, injuries, etc. I feel like the league could use All-Star Weekend to market a lot of younger players and guys who aren't that known. If their idea for All-Star Weekend is supposed to be about just a break for the regular season and just a fun weekend for the players. But if the NBA is going to have this attitude towards All-Star Weekend where it's just like a casual event, they should still put on a good enough product to where it's entertaining for the fans. Because the fact that the NBA is viewing this as a casual event shouldn't be an excuse for them to put out a bad product, because that's not fair to us fans. But if the NBA wants to showcase its stars and take this event seriously, they need to completely center this around the stars. They need to promote their stars properly, they need to make the selection process less flawed, and they don't need to stretch it out for way too long. The biggest problem with All-Star Weekend is that nobody cares about it. The fans don't really care, the players don't really care, and it's starting to seem like the league doesn't even care. The best way to improve it day one is to make it more legitimate. And the first solution I have is get rid of the unserious, irrelevant events that nobody cares about. Get rid of the celebrity game, get rid of the skills challenge, and any other miscellaneous events. Because it's literally just filler. What benefit is the NBA celebrity game bringing to anybody? The fans don't even care about it. Like, if the NBA gets rid of the celebrity game, who's really gonna cry about it? And with the skills challenge, honestly, you could replace it with something that is equally as impressive or people would care about more. But in my opinion, less is more. I don't think we really need the skills challenge anyway. The three main pillars of All-Star Weekend need to be the Rising Stars Challenge, which in my opinion needs to be renamed, the three-point contest, and the All-Star game. As mentioned before, the celebrity game is a waste of time. It's just an excuse for the league to get some mainstream attention based on who's playing. And side note, half the people that the NBA selects to be in the celebrity game aren't even really celebrities for real. Like, I'm pretty sure they had Jesser Laser in there. No hate towards Jesser, but I don't think he's a celebrity. He's just a dude with a ton of followers on Instagram and YouTube. If you're gonna have a celebrity game, at least go all out. Go out and get The Rock or something. Now, my views on the dunk contest are a bit more complicated. It's been no secret that the dunk contest has been dying for the last 10 years. On and off, somebody will bring it back to relevance and then it'll die off again. It usually has this weird spiking, and then there isn't enough consistent hype for it year after year. That's why I feel like the best best thing that the league could do for the dunk contest is make it more of a novelty. Bring it out every 2 years or something, every 2 to 3 years. Use it as a selling point for All-Star Weekend, saying, hey, the dunk contest is back this year. Because the biggest problem with the dunk contest is that we've pushed the envelope for how far a good dunk is, along with social media kind of messing with our perception of what a good dunk is and how impressive a dunk is. And B, making the dunk contest more of a novelty really just makes it more relevant, because more interest pours into the dunk contest around the time that it returns, which makes the standard of entry greater, which means that there's going to be greater participants, and it'll incentivize more people to watch it because they'll have to wait another 2 years to see the next dunk contest. Now obviously this alone isn't going to fix the dunk contest by itself. Obviously the league is going to have to do some better incentivizing for the players, but I think that this is a good first step, because the dunk contest happening every single year, it just kind of dilutes the value of it in the All-Star Weekend itself, because every year we're having the same conversation about the dunk contest, wondering if the league should get rid of it, wondering how the league can fix it. I feel like this is the best possible solution if the NBA wants to gain more interest in it. Once again, less is more. Also, side note, please get some better judges. Now the All-Star game is where the league needs to make a lot of changes. Again, the biggest problem with the All-Star game is that nobody cares about it. Not the players, not the fans, not the league. This year the players were literally going 60% at the most, and like I said before, there isn't much good incentives for the players even trying. And the thing about incentivizing the players through charities, these players are rich, bro. Like, these players are multi-millionaires. A lot of these players don't really care that much about charities as much as they want people to believe. Like, a charity is not going to incentivize LeBron James to go 100% in an All-Star game that doesn't matter. Obviously, he's not going to outright say that, but that's something that he would think, or that's a move that he would make. If a team loses the quarter, it's not going to affect them personally. It's not going to hurt their pockets. It just prevents the charity of their choice from getting a donation. Like, yeah, the players will feel bad, but it's not going to like hurt them. It's not going to haunt them or anything. Charity should obviously be a part of All-Star Weekend, but I think the whole concept of winning the quarter to get your charity a donation, I think the NBA should do away with that. The first thing I would do is make the All-Star game shorter. These games don't need to go up to 150 points for each team. Instead, the quarter range should be from 6 minutes to 9 minutes a quarter. I know a lot of y'all aren't going to like this idea at first, but just hear me out. The All-Star game is way too long for a meaningless game in the grand scheme of things, and shortening it prevents injuries, it prevents fatigue, and it prevents more inflated numbers. Not to mention, it makes the game a lot more competitive. Because think about the scoring record, right? How many of you are impressed with Jason Tatum scoring 55 points when you know the context that Jason Tatum was playing against lackluster defense and he wasn't even like working for his points? And plus, we have a guy scoring 50 in the All-Star game every year. Don't you think it would be more impressive to see a guy try and score 50 on 7 to 9 minute quarters? And it would actually be a lot more memorable, and it would hold weight. Let's not act like we haven't seen guys score 60 in 3 quarters or score 51 in 3 quarters or something crazy like that. So it's possible. Also, shortening the game would also allow for more legitimacy to the All-Star game MVP. The All-Star game MVP is just given out to the guy who scores most points. And instead, this way, if it's an actual good game, the player who had the most impact in the All-Star game would have the MVP instead. The only issue you can really point out with this is that minutes are going to be very strict and that the reserves may not play that much. And my rebuttal to that would just be the coaches are going to have to do a better job coaching the game. And who knows, it might incentivize players who are reserves to play better and try and get to that starter spot. You never know. But I think the minutes should be fair. But like I said before, All-Star Weekend being bad isn't necessarily the entire problem. It's more of a symptom of the problem. The real problem is load management, injuries, resting players, and the extremely long 82 game season. I wasn't going to make a video on why the league should shorten the regular season, because while that might be the real problem, I think that there are some direct issues with All-Star Weekend itself that should be addressed, and that would actually make the product better. But yeah, man, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. Also, I'm almost at 500 subscribers. And that's it for this one. I'll see y'all in the next video, and I'm out. Peace.